marketing is all emotional. And if we can't make ourselves feel anything, they're not going to feel it either. And this is a really good point as well, which is that transference is huge. And we want consistency between your message and how you're presenting. So if I'm like, I'm really angry, then as a viewer, you're like, this is boring, because there's a disconnect between what you're saying and what you're doing. But if I'm like, fuck, now you're engaged.
Hey guys, welcome back to the pod. Today we're speaking to the amazing Yasin Mammeri. We're going to be talking through how to grow from 0 to over 1 million followers. Yasin's done it in 25 months and we're going to be giving you all the tools that you can do the same. Yasin, thanks for joining me on the pod.
Pleasure.
It's so great to have you on. We've obviously known each other for a year or so, a couple of years now. And watching your growth has been absolutely insane. Am I right in saying you went 0 to over 1 million followers on Instagram?
No, not Instagram.
Or total?
Total, yeah.
In 25 months though, so
Yeah.
just over 2 years, which is insane. Talk us through that journey, why you started posting online in the first place.
I actually started posting for a philosophy account first.
Okay.
And then was like, it's going to be hard to make money out of this. And at the time I was working for a startup that wasn't doing so well, and my hours got cut 50%, same as everyone else. And so I had time on my hands. And I never felt in startup land like I was getting paid the amount I thought I deserved. So I decided to go and start my own thing. Yeah, so it was a advertising, branding, copywriting account at first. And then I just got obsessed with viral videos and how to grow my own account. And so it switched. I switched it around 80K, and then rest is
Okay, was there a moment where it like suddenly took off, or was it quite constant growth?
There was like a period toward the start of last year where I was posting 3 times a day, where it really, I think in January 2024, I gained across all platforms 180,000 followers. But I would say it's the consistency. There's other people that can maybe beat me in terms of just like raw talent.
Sure.
But I'm like a dog. I'll just keep going
That's it,
day
yeah.
after day, year after
Yeah.
year. And if I hit a plateau, I'll continue, I'll experiment. Like, yeah, it's that doggedness, I think, that has led to the growth over time rather than like one inflection point.
Yeah. What I love about yours as well is that you're actually monetizing it as well. It's not just vanity. You've actually built an incredible business out of it, helping other people to start doing the same sort of thing and grow their businesses using video. So when you work with people, when you kind of look across the industry, what are the common misconceptions that people have around video and creating, we'll say viral videos, but viral videos that also, build your followers and help you build a business at the same time?
I think a common misconception is that a lot of people have binary thinking about many topics, and viral videos is one of them as well. So it's like either you're going viral and you're broke, or you're getting 200 views and you're a multimillionaire. Like there's a way, a path to get tons and tons of views and have that generate significantly more revenue for your business. And that's never really spoken about. And it's all about strategy, positioning, talking to the right audience, signaling that you're an authority, reminding people that you have stuff to sell and selling the right things. But yeah, there's a way that if you get those views and attention from the right people, you can make shit tons of, can I swear on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make shit tons of money. I'd say that's a misconception. And I would also say there's a misconception from like business people that attention and status are meaningless, that like having 1 million followers, just even if you're not generating revenue, that is absolutely meaningless. And to me, that's stupid. Like, I've been offered multiple book deals. I've been able to work with companies like Instagram and Red Bull without like they're coming to me. I've, been introduced to billionaires and stuff like that. Just like T-Pain sometimes DMs me like,
So funny.
but you know, and I'm not the best networker, but
Yeah.
even for me, like if you build enough attention for the right reasons, then opportunities do come your way. Um, and yes, this is the sort of intangible stuff. Or like recently, like basically all of my hires are people that approach
Of
me.
course, yeah.
So there's many intangibles. You can't go, oh, I did this action and then revenue came. Uh, that are positive outcomes just by getting the right sort of attention. So I'd say that's another misconception.
Realistically, the Instagrams, the Red Bulls, the T-Pains of this world, they're not going to the guy or girl with, 1,000 followers and 200 views a video, realistically, are they?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this is one of the things that pisses me off in the online world, is people think it's either followers or revenue, or like views or revenue, but actually you can do both, right?
Mm.
And you've done that, which is pretty cool. What else? What other cool things have come out of building the following?
I mean, for me, it's helped me generate a you know relatively big business in a short space of time. I think like uh, yeah, we did around $1 million last year, and that was our second year in business. Um, where I don't know if we'll hit it. I think this is like it's already stressing me out thinking about this target, but we're trying to hit 4 million this year. So that's obviously good. Um,
And that 0 to 1 million, was that just using your social accounts? No, like paid, cold email, anything like that?
no, no, no.
Just organic?
Yeah, exactly.
It's insane.
And then also, if this year we will go into paid ads, and it's gonna just go to our warm audience. So like, I have 600 and something K on Instagram, so I can just retarget those people with paid ads, and it's gonna be much cheaper.
Such an underutilized strategy, isn't it? Like a combo of organic and paid.
Yeah, yeah,
So good.
yeah. Another thing is my close rate. Like, I'm a terrible salesman, but my close rate is like 47%, I think, over the last 3 months,
Okay. On
because
proposal to sale or lead to sale or?
sales call to
Yeah.
close.
Perfect.
Because it's so warm, like a lot of these people get on the call and they're like, "Hey, I know you," and I'm like, "That's a bit creepy," but yeah, they've like been following me for a year or whatever, and it just changes the dynamic a lot.
They're ready to buy, right?
Yeah,
Like the mind is probably already made up.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
Uh,
that's amazing.
I can't think of anything else. I mean, yeah, it's
I mean, that's pretty cool in and of its
yeah,
in and of itself. Um, yeah, journey's insane. So you're what you're saying really is it's to do this profitably, it's more about like I guess the positioning, the authority you share, how you talk about your product as well, rather than the things like just hacking the algorithm, like hashtags, these sorts of things.
yeah. So, for instance, and this is has been a journey for me, right? Finding that balance between attention and revenue.
Mhm.
And I've seen both sides. I've seen people with millions of followers DMing me, and they're like, "Oh wow, like you're making money," and I'm like, "I assume you are because you have 3 times the following of me," and they're like, "No, I'm broke." And then I've also had people with 3,000 followers who built a 7-figure business off those 3,000 followers, but now their audience is burned and they can't get any attention because all they've done is sell, sell, sell. And they're coming to me because they now realize, like, actually, you kind of need both. Um, so I used to post this, like, some formats that were targeting the wrong kind of people because I was too focused on pure attention.
Right.
So I had no real strategy, no positioning. I didn't know who I was speaking to, and why a particular piece of content was something that I should be posting. There wasn't like, it's
Mhm.
okay to do top of funnel stuff and have it be like comedic or light or fluffy, as long as there's some sort of strategic thinking behind it. But I was posting stuff like steal these viral hook, and
Oh
then
yeah.
like pulling cardboard off a
Yeah.
whiteboard.
I remember those videos.
And I used to do them a lot, and they'd take me 5 minutes to make,
Yeah.
and they'd consistently get hundreds of thousands, but a lot of them would get like between 3 and 10 million views,
Mm.
and thousands or tens of thousands of followers, um, and a lot of traffic to the website and a lot of leads. You could get from one of those videos, you could get maybe 10,000 leads or something.
Yeah.
Um, but they were like kind of crappy leads because everyone will take you up on a free hook.
Sure.
Uh, But does that mean that they think you're an authority? No. So for me, it's been about trying to find the balance between attention and really providing insight.
Mm.
And that is much, much harder than like just getting attention.
Yeah.
And insight in and of itself isn't the goal for me because I could, say something really interesting and get 200 views. It's like, how do I say something that's really deep and insightful and get the attention? That's the hard thing. And an example of someone doing this really well is Rory Sutherland.
Okay.
So, like he breaks every paradigm of what you'd expect like a creator or an influencer to look like older dude,
Mhm.
really overweight, um, super posh.
He's always like his posture's always like this in the video.
Posture's not great. Every video bangs.
Yeah.
And it's not like simple stuff. He doesn't use simple language, but it's just so insightful that everyone loves it. Like, marketers, but just I think the general public love it. And actually, his account on TikTok was started by some random dude. He bought the account of him.
Did he?
He like
Okay.
saw all these videos like getting millions of views, and he's like, "Oh, I'm famous on TikTok. Let me buy that
Yeah, yeah.
account." So
Interesting.
yeah, insight trumps all else. And if you're truly insightful, like I think Alex Hormozy, whether you love him or hate him, is deeply insightful, then it's going to cut through and you'll get attention and revenue.
Mm. So when you sit down to plan your own videos, this is how you're thinking. You're thinking, how can I get mass attention here, but share insight at the same time?
Hmm.
And what does that look like specifically? Are there any like practical ways that people can start to do that?
Yeah, but they're all like extremely hard
Okay.
and boring. So like, sit down and think. Don't go. So I used to, every hour of my day was filled, with
Right.
like activities.
Yeah.
But I didn't even have time to like read a book or read an article or go, what do I think about this? Like, why is the landscape functioning as it is? What is the landscape going to look like in a year or 6 months? Um, what things really drive results that are beyond what everyone else can see? So I think it takes time, and it obviously takes inputs. You have to be learning from really, really smart people, but then you also just have to sit there and uh, coalesce all these different opinions into your own uh, opinion, your own insight. And that can't be done fast, and it can't be done through ChatGPT.
Mm.
It's just like sit down and be bored. And uh, yeah, it's hard earned. So I think that's why most people don't do it. It's why I didn't do it for a long time, because it's easier to hack attention than it is to like actually develop something and go somewhere where no one else has gone.
I guess a lot of people are just thinking, how can they reverse engineer high performing content from other people as
Yeah.
quickly as possible rather than being a little bit original, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Same, like, I mean, I get copied all the time, but and sometimes their content gets more views than mine, even
Does
though
that annoy you?
uh it depends. If they're Well, it annoys me. Yes, it does annoy me. It annoys me in two ways. One, like, um, it saturates what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I've had some people reach out and go, "Hey, stop copying." And I'm like, "Bro, that's my content format." Um, so it saturates it, and then I get less results for something that's effective.
Yeah.
Um, and the hardest piece of the puzzle is finding a content format that works. It's all experimentation up until that point, and then it's extremely easy, like the whiteboard format. But basically, every other format I've had that works, once you find it, it's really easy. You're talking like 20 minutes to make a video or something that will get 500K, a million, 2 million views, and bring in revenue. And so then when everyone else does that, you're like, "Ugh, I have to start again." And I just think it's kind of gross. Like, but the the other reason, the when it really bothers me is when they have a bigger account and they have a bigger business. So there's one guy in particular that has like, you know, 8-figure business and millions of followers, and steals all my content formats and then can execute on it way more than I can, because he's got like a way bigger team who can go and find all the content and cut up the clips, and then has a much bigger, more mature business that can take
Sure.
maximize the results from that. So Yeah, but ultimately, like, this is business. Instagram steals from Snapchat, and TikTok steals from Instagram. Instagram steals from TikTok, and YouTube steals, and they all steal, like, at that level, um, and none of them whine about it. So, like, ultimately, like, if I'm in business, I kind of have to accept that I need to find systems and frameworks and a structure that sits beneath the attention that allows me to maximize it, so that even if they are getting the attention, I trust that they don't fully know how to uh, turn that attention into revenue. They have no strategic understanding beneath it. And also, the more I put effort in and find all these different formats, the better a teacher I am, and the better able I am to find new formats when it stops working. So I try and think about it from that perspective as much as I can on my good days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Producing work that's worth copying though,
Mm.
which is another, I guess, mindset shift as well, is to produce something that people will actually copy.
Mm.
Why typically when you look at, members of the community or your programs, people you work with, what are the common reasons why their videos aren't performing well?
Too much focus on post production, not enough focus on pre production. They're putting lipstick on a pig, and really, like, it is all about the strategy, positioning, research, ideation, script writing, storytelling, viewer psychology. These are the things that drive results, and you can't skip them, but people do. Like, people talk a lot about, like, here's how to generate 100 ideas in 20 minutes. I'm like, it's meaningless. Like, anyone can do that.
Mhm.
And it's not about the speed of ideation, like, that decides who wins. It's the quality of the ideas that you generate. And one idea that's a 9 will generate you the same as, like, 1,000 ideas that are a 5. It's like, all the riches, all the attention goes to the best ideas. It's like, Pareto principle. It all concentrates amongst the best. And there's I've told some people who are like, "Oh, I'm just gonna keep generating these 5 out of 10 ideas again and again." I'm like, "Just do something else where you're, like, willing to try and find an 8 or a 9." Um, yeah, so big problem, big problem.
So for someone just getting started that is maybe running this on their own, they don't have a massive team behind them, should they just be focused on a few quality ideas each week, or is the quantity piece important still? How would you balance that if you were starting again with no team?
So when I started, I posted 3 times a day
Really?
while I was working, 100-hour work weeks at a startup, because, yeah, you need to have data in order to understand what good looks like. Um, and it's not that good ideas have to take time. I already had a background in marketing, so I had a better grasp on what a good idea was versus a bad idea. And then I used certain formats that allowed me to produce content faster, uh, and allowed me to lean on things that were already working. So, like, trend jacking and social hacking. So finding, like, I mean, a lot of people do this on LinkedIn now. Like, you take an ad and you're like, "Oh, this ad is good," and then it gets loads of views. Um, I tried to be a little more insightful than that, but same thing. Like, if it's an amazing ad, or some famous person has done something, or whatever, something's happening in the public eye, and you talk about it, you get some of that attention. So I would lean on formats that were a little easier. Um, but I was also looking at the data and improving. So there's a lot of people who just produce a huge amount, and it doesn't matter. So as long as you're producing and moving forward, and each iteration is better, and over time the ideas are getting better, then it doesn't matter if you produce a lot, right? 3 times a day, or um, but, like, I wouldn't do it in one go. For instance, like, trying to batch a month's worth of content when you don't know what good looks like, idiotic. Like, I was posting 3 times a day and posting them on the day. And then and that's really hard. I batch now, but back then I didn't know what good looked like. So if I batched for a week and then I find out on day 2 that, oh, no one likes this, now I'm screwed for a week. So being really dynamic and seeing like what does the world care about, and if it's not performing, if you post an idea and you think it's a 9 and the world tells you it's a 3, you need to make an adjustment immediately. And people don't do that because they're so focused on speed over all other things. So yeah, I would go very slow with the piece that comes before the content production, which is who am I? What are my strengths as a human? And how can I bring some of those into the content in a way that helps me stand out? So you look at the marketplace and you see what needs are being served and which ones aren't. And you see how those people and businesses are showing up and how they're not. And then maybe you bring something into the marketplace that's not already being done. So for instance, we're in a industry of charlatans and sharks and fake gurus, and posers, and it's very, it's all about flashiness and stuff like that. I'm just an average dude, and I've been homeless, and I continue to share, like, every week on Instagram, for instance, I share the losses, like things that we screwed up with. I try and be as honest and open as I can. If I fuck up with an employee, I might turn that into a video with their permission and be like, "Hey, here's how I screwed up." So I try to be a lot more authentic and vulnerable, and then also less serious. So I try and be funny, and a lot of people in this industry are also like super stiff and serious. So I'm trying to find my edge. To take the steal these viral hooks video, I sing the start because I used to be a singer. So it's like, how can you bring in the strengths that you have into the content that you produce? Um, and find your voice, find your edge. And then, yeah, what's your strategy? Like, how are you going to make revenue in the marketplace, and what are the different content types that you're going to use? The top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel, what lead magnet? These sorts of things I think should happen at the start. Not that you should spend months or years on it, like some people get into, overthinking, but have like a strategy, test it against the marketplace and see if it works. If it doesn't, adjust. If it does, scale it up. Um,
And then you're making purely decisions based on what the marketplace, so basically what the audience online show, what the
yeah.
data shows. So if a post gets no views, what's the thinking there?
hmm
Is it like, all right, get rid of the concept, or is it maybe try the concept again but in a different way? How do you make decisions around things like views, engagement, I guess click through to landing pages, sales, etc.?
Yeah. So if something gets no views and you're at the start of your journey, move on. I think is it Starling or Revolut or some company like that is like, we only do 10x ideas. Like, we're not trying to like get a 2% increase in conversion rate on the landing page. Like, we want it to 10x. And that's for good reason, because without that 10x, it's very hard, and especially if you're not getting a lot of data, it's very hard to actually have statistical significance. And I see this a lot with you know, social media gurus who are like, I had this video that got 200 views and this one got 250. Therefore, you need to start putting hashtags in your it's like, you haven't got enough data. You need like to post hundreds of videos and split test, A/B test one thing, and then you can kind of start to get a feel for what's working and what's not. So, um, yeah, I think at the start, if it's not working, you've got to massively disrupt. Like, you can still do the same format or the same idea, but it has to be delivered in a wildly different way. Um, like, if it got 200 views and you slightly adjust something, it won't go off to get 2 million. Usually, there are exceptions. I've had people in the boot camp where we tweaked some things and they went from 2,000 to 600K or something, but that was an outlier for them. So I think that's, if your average is 200, just keep skipping those ideas. When you get something that's 2,000 or 10,000, it could be worth seeing, like, if there's something there that you can go on to uh, make even better. But generally, like, it tends to be a waste of time. Like, good ideas generally will float to the top. So I'm looking for stuff that really breaks out of what my average is. So then I can go, oh, there's something interesting here. Then I reverse engineer it, turn it into a format that I can rinse and repeat, and then find ways to make it even better. So if my average is 200 views and I get 40,000 on a video, what most people do is they're like, oh, nice, and then they just keep making the same mistakes and testing randomly. I'm like, no, this is now something that I need to learn from. Don't learn from the failures. They won't teach you anything. And there's an infinite number of ways to fail, and there's a lot of ways to succeed, but it's not infinite. There's like tried and tested things that will make a video get views or not get views. So when something works, I will download the transcript and then like turn it into a format. So I'll be like, okay, line 1 has to look like this, line 2 looks like this, and then I will try other ideas with it or the same ideas. So for instance, like uh, I have this format that's like, this is the exact same video, but the second time it was posted, it got X times more views. Now all I need to do is find two videos that are the same, but something was tweaked, and the second one got way more views. That's all I need, and everything else is the same. And so that video, like in terms of script writing, there's no ideation. It's just I need to find 2 ideas. Script's always the same, except like if there's 2 reasons or 3 reasons, then I'll say 2 or 3 reasons and then give those reasons. But it's like, where's Wally? It's like spot the difference. You know, it's really easy. So once you have that, you're in a really good place. And then yeah, if it's something that can't be repeated with the same idea and you need to try other ideas in the format, then you try other ideas and you see which ones break it and which ones continue to have that success with it, and you start to understand what's working and what's not.
So once you've got an idea that's working, what are some of these like, changes you can make or levers you can pull, things you can start testing to take? Maybe you've got one idea that's overperformed, it's got 40,000 followers, as you say. How can you then take that to an 80,000 viewership or like a million view video? Like, what are these small tweaks that people can make?
So there's a bunch of things, and it depends on the format. But like for instance, you could say include a timer. So people, like, let's say you're reacting to something. Maybe you include a timer so people know how long they have to wait. Or you use an arrow to point at something which helps draw the viewer's
Sounds
eye.
like
Or
visual cues, right?
yeah, visual. You can also tighten the script up. I will look at retention graphs and see like, okay, where was the dip? Oh, sweet, it's in the hook. The hook's not good enough. Let me try different hooks and see if I can eke out a bigger improvement there. Or if there's a dip at the end, maybe I just don't have such a long video. Um, yeah, I mean, there's 1,000 ways to make things more engaging. Also, you could change the energy. So maybe it got those views despite how you showed up. So just because it's such a good idea, and if you show up with more energy or change your intonation or say it faster or, um, yeah, anything like that, they're all things to test. You can test the song, like what song you're using or start, the captions, how many camera angles you're using. Yeah, there's a lot of different things. The edit even. Once you have a video that's doing well, then changing or adjusting the edit can be really powerful. Yeah, there's is an infinite number of things. You just like look at the piece of content every day and go like, okay, how do I make it uh 10, 20, 30, 40% better? And then you just keep doing that, and some of your experiments will work and some will fail, but you're getting more and more clarity on how to develop this format. There's a guy, I can't even remember his name, but he's like a music reactor creator, and he would like react to music songs, and the first thing he did was he had like 2 shitty little buzzers. One for like, "This is amazing," one,
Sure.
and then over time, it's like the edits have got crazier and like the screen shakes, and he's got proper like custom built buzzers, and then different like things that he says through the video that are like catchphrases, and just a bunch of stuff that he's leveled up over time, and now he's like the biggest music react creator in the world. So it didn't happen overnight, and you don't see it every day, but you can go, okay, what does it look like if it's slightly better? Um, could be a change of location, like you did it in the car. How will it perform if I do it in the house or on the street or while running? Or, it's just small things that really do have a big impact.
If you could like rank these changes that people make or rank the levers people can pull to improve their video, what are like the top 3 things if you could only control those 3 things that you'd focus on?
Format.
Okay.
So let's say you do a video that's talking head. and it performs, try it as a green screen. Maybe it'll work better. Yeah, you change how it is displayed visually or how you're delivering the information. So yeah, it could be talking head, you switch to a podcast style. Yeah, that's probably the biggest one. And at the very least, like if the idea is good and you switch, you should get a similar amount of views for the exact same like materials, but it can unlock significantly more. So um, I would look to do that. I do this anyway. So if I'm like short on ideas, I'll just look through what's already worked and then just switch the format up and post the same exact thing and it works again. The like conciseness is the next thing. And I mean, actually, probably the first thing is hooks.
Okay.
It's going to have the most impact. You know, the front cover of the book decides if they open the book or buy the book. Um, so it's nuts that people spend the same amount of time and attention on the hook as the rest of the script. And even in my boot camp, I have a really hard time getting people to give me 5 hooks per video, which I think is the bare minimum. Like, it's really hard for people to want to do that, and they'll rush through that process. But if in order to watch the rest, this is very obvious. But in order to watch the rest, they have to get through the hook. So obviously, it should be where most of your time and attention is put. And if you have something that works and it's got 40K, almost guaranteed, if your hook gets 3 or 4 times better, you'll 5x, 4x, whatever your views.
Quick one on hooks. Do you write those after you've got the rest of the script or the concept planned out, or do you plan script and concept around a hook idea?
Just depends. I'm a little more chaotic than the average creator.
Okay.
I'm not as systemized. I'll probably like have one hook and then write the script and then come back and I'll put in the other 4.
Got it.
Yeah. And now what we do is we use trial reels on Instagram and we test like 3 or 4 hooks. So we can just see. And it's such a low lift in terms of effort. We just save 3, 4, 5 hooks. Then we look through and we're like, okay, that felt like the best, because one thing people don't use enough of is their gut feel, and they don't tap into their emotional reaction or resonance with the piece. Uh, so this is something we really focus on in the bootcamp, is like getting the other students to think about how they're feeling when they're experiencing someone else's content, and then trying to bring that back to their own. Like, did I bore myself here? Because most of the time, like, you don't even like your own stuff if you really think you're like, fucking hell, this is so boring.
I've had that so many times.
So yeah, if you feel that, there's just almost no point putting the piece out.
Yeah.
Like, something's gone wrong that you need to adjust. So yeah, I mean, energy is such a big piece of content working. Always has to come back to like, did I feel something here? If not, something has to change until I do feel something. Marketing is all emotional. So we have to, and if we can't make ourselves feel anything, they're not going to feel it either. And this is a really good point as well, which is that transference is huge. So and we want consistency between your message and how you're presenting. So if I'm like, I'm really angry, then as a viewer, you're like, this is boring, because there's a disconnect between what you're saying and what you're doing. But if I'm like, fuck, now you're engaged. Um, and so we want that emotional consistency and resonance. And if you focus a lot on that in the hook and everywhere else, then you're going to have a much better time. But yes, so to bring it back to hooks, we actually watch these 5 hooks, and then we see what's happening in our gut, in our belly, and go, okay, these ones actually, we thought on paper they looked good, but maybe I didn't show up right, or maybe it just wasn't that good. Cut those. These are the 3 we're going to test, and then the world will tell us which is the best.
Okay. So the key to really great hooks is the emotion that people feel.
Yeah.
Once they go through it. And that's so important, because otherwise the rest of your video is redundant, right?
Mhm.
If you don't nail that. Interesting. Talk me through the Pope in the pool.
Pope in the pool is something that I think a lot of people, especially like businessy people, will probably hate, because they have an ego, you know, which is like they think they're smart, and so they want people to just listen to them as it is. But people want to be engaged and excited and entertained. And Pope in the Pool is basically a tool, a vehicle to allow you to entertain people very easily. So, while you're making your video, you're like folding clothes or drinking a coffee or painting your nails or doing a little dance or going for a run or driving your car. These are all forms of Pope in the Pool. It's a technique that came uh, from like plays. So I think there's a play about a pope, and the pope is like trying to relay really complex information to his, I don't even know what they're called, like advisors or something. But it's really complex, dense information. But it's information that won't, if you don't understand, the rest of the movie or show or whatever won't make sense. So they have to give you this information. All right, how do I make this still entertaining then? Okay, so the Pope is actually swimming up and down a swimming pool, which is kind of odd. You've never seen or even thought of a Pope in a pool.
Yeah, it's a weird
Uh,
concept to even
yeah,
imagine in your mind, right?
yeah. And so he's swimming up and down, and then he's like shouting orders and going through the process with these two advisors. And you've seen it in movies like The Big Short, for instance. Margot Robbie, completely naked in the bathtub, telling you about what a short is. Why is that? It's because no one wants to hear about shorts except people who are already trading, which is the minority of people. So you get a stunning woman in a bathtub. Now we're willing to listen.
Suddenly people are engaged a little bit more.
Yeah.
Smart.
So it feels like, oh, it's only for idiots and it's only for people that want to watch where they have the split screen where like bottom half is like the train jumping game
Yeah.
or some Reddit thing, and then the top person. That to me is like too much. You want to do it in a more subtle way where it's like you want to do it so it's targeted toward people that will actually do business with you.
Almost so they won't realize unless they know.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Interesting.
So yeah, we have to let our ego stay at the door. And I've seen this particularly with like LinkedIn people. They'll blame like people's IQ for why their content's not performing, and like they've said this directly to me. Many people that I've worked with who come from LinkedIn and had success there, and then go on to video content, and they're like, "Oh, it's, TikTok audience are idiots. Instagram audience, they're all idiots." This is just the lazy way out because you haven't cracked the code on how you can say what you want to say and have it be entertaining. That's on you. Yeah.
I
So
love that mindset.
mhm.
Such a good mindset. What about the anti-hook?
Yeah, anti-hook is where so like a hook, a classic sort of marketing hook is like, you're a fucking idiot if you don't do this, or like you're gonna be broke your whole life if you don't follow this advice. The anti-hook is, it just skips that line because a lot, there's like a negative emotional reaction now and we've heard it so much. It skips that line and then goes into the meat and potatoes. So it's almost like it breaks the pattern because now the pattern is like some big, promise or that no one believes anymore. So you're just like, I don't know what's the next. So if I'm saying if you don't do this, you'll be broke forever, you go, the only way to uh, truly become successful, so you skip that first line that feels like too much, and you just go in, or like um, instead of saying, there's a one that Gary Vee did that was like got 2 million views or something. He could have been like, the biggest thing in the world right now is mango gummies, but he just goes mango gummies, and then there's like a bunch of clips of mango gummies, and then he's like, it's a trend, and it's just way softer. Doesn't always work, but if you find the right thing and you can just label what you're talking about, uh, then it can work really well. And it also taps into something else. So it develops trust. People are like, oh, I don't have to have my guard up here. It's just a normal person telling me something. But it's also allows you to be much clearer. And clarity is a big problem that I work on with people. Like they think they're being clear, but they're trying to be too fancy or they're trying to be too big when they can just go, boom, it's this. Yeah, like it's the same as music. Sometimes the most talented people, it's not that they do more, it's that they do less. There's more silence. best public speakers, it's the same. They know when to shut up. So same thing here. Like you have to have confidence that you can do it a little more subtle and it's still going to perform if the idea is good enough.
Mm. Imagine one of the biggest challenges a lot of people have when you start working with them, or even if they're thinking about starting to post video content online, is just the pure, I guess, discomfort of showing up on camera and being expressive and being themselves. How can they, I guess, how can people get the best out of themselves when they're on camera and they're just starting to do this for the first time? Obviously, kind of seems like it comes naturally to you now after getting so many repetitions in. But what are the things people can be doing over the first kind of 100 videos to get there faster?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will say that's the main thing is
Just reps,
reps.
is it? Yeah.
For sure. I mean, when I was first making content, I'd show my partner. I'd be like, "Hey, yo, Bubs, how do you find this piece of content?" She's like, "Who the fuck is this? This guy's boring me."
So you'd show her other people.
No, me.
You.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm like, "Oh, really? Is it that bad?" She's like, "It's just so boring. You know, I'm not making any jokes. You sound so stiff." And uh, I love her for that. You know, just like you need someone in your corner who's just like, nah.
Yeah.
You know. Um, And, you know, month after month, she'd be like, there's a little bit more character. And even now, I'm still getting more of that out. Like, I had a friend yesterday who's like, oh, I've noticed in the last month or two a little more like looseness to you, or like you're joking a bit more. Like, there's more consistency between the off camera version of me and the on camera version. Um, so it takes time. And I would say, actually, the main thing you can do is become a better public speaker. Because if you become a better public speaker, your delivery will just be that much better. And it's a very similar skill. In fact, I'm doing a public speaking course right now with a company called Ultra Speaking. It's really, really good. And we're in chats behind the scenes about how like much overlap there is between what we do. And, maybe there's a potential partnership there, maybe not. But anyway, it's very obvious to us that they're really similar skills. Um, the other thing is energy. So, and not in like a hippie woo-woo way, but and also not in a big way. You don't have to be Mr. Beast. You can be you. You just have to be uh, a version of you that's charismatic. So in the same way that there's a kind of a right way to shake a hand, and it doesn't, if you learn the right way, it doesn't make you some psychopathic manipulator. Like if you, just because you don't do the fish handshake doesn't make you a psychopath, right? Like you should learn how to do that, or like, yeah, just general social etiquette. It's the same thing. Like there are certain ways in which you should show up on camera. Um, but we were talking beforehand about how like yeah, you don't have to be big and loud. That's what people think when you say, oh, you need to be charismatic or have energy on camera. It's actually finding the interestingness in you. So your strengths, how you show up. If you're like you were saying, you're dry, you're kind of sarcastic and not, hugest energy. Okay, we don't go there then. Maybe we actually go further into dryness so that people actually get that that's a bit, or yeah, because you lose a lot on camera, so you do have to turn the dial up a little bit. So turning the dial up in some direction, having like some interestingness to you, and then trying things like, so for instance, uh, this is something I learned in frisbee. I used to play ultimate frisbee at a high level, and um, one thing we would do is we'd teach people to over exaggerate. So there's like a thing called a flick. It's like in tennis, you have the backhand and the forehand. So the forehand is a flick. And people would always flick, but they wouldn't know, but they'd go like this. And if you go like this, the disc takes the same arc, same as basketball. If I go like this, it will go here, but if I go over there, it will go over there. Same thing. And they can't see that this is how they naturally want to throw it, but you want it to be flat. You want your hand here. Therefore, you get them to actually go as low down as they can. And then what ends up happening is they end up here because they're so used to going up here, you over exaggerate. So if I'm really low energy on camera and I want a little more energy, then I might like sing the script or scream the script, uh, or say it in a funny accent. a foreign accent, I might use like say it really fast or really slow, and I do all of these things. Same as when you're singing. I used to be a singer. You do like vocal exercises, and the vocal exercise, you don't stay here. You go through your full range. You expand the range so that when you sing the song, it's more comfortable. Same thing here. So we're trying to reach a level of comfort by pushing the boundaries. So if I got you now to scream and then talk at your normal volume, you would just feel a different energy. Uh, and you can try it now. You can try it later at home in the comfort of your house.
For the benefit of the listeners, I won't scream, but
Yeah, yeah. But that it just changes how you show up, and you're going to feel more comfortable in a wider range of volumes and energies. So yeah, whe- when the camera's on or when it's off, push that range and try things that are weird for you. And then each day try and bring a little more of your character, like the things, the traits that people in person say, oh, I like this about you, I like that about you. And then yeah, like everything else, try and just become more compelling. And it's a skill that you can learn. Uh, yeah,
so this is not necessarily about being someone you're not on camera. It's more like you, but to the max,
yeah.
like the most extreme version of whatever traits you have.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say, so you know how some people like go on the X Factor and they sing and it's like ha 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 ha. Some people aren't made for singing, some people aren't made for video. And like I will tell people as a coach, I'll be like, hey, actually, I don't think this is for you. I think that's such a valuable piece of information for me to give, even though it's the hardest thing for me to say and for them to hear. I'm like, go market somewhere else. And not in the like, piss off out of here, but like maybe you could do SEO or LinkedIn or Twitter or Threads or partnerships or something else that leans into your skills, or find someone else to make video content for you. Um, yeah, like if you're, I say this to students when they're like, "Hey, can you promise me 1 million followers?" Or I'm like, "Okay, I can promise you that I will help you grow as fast as you possibly can. Like you'll grow way faster with me than you would alone. But all I can do is help you reach your peak. But your peak is different from mine, and mine is different from Mr. Beast's. So if you're 4 foot tall and blind and have two dodgy knees and you're super unathletic and you're like, hey, like, can you make me Michael Jordan? I'm like, no, even if I'm the best coach in the world.
Yeah.
So, and if your aim is like, so for instance, I had a coach who, another public speaking coach, because I'm really pushing for this year, trying to like actually get comfortable on stage and all of that stuff. I was like, I want to sound like Russell Brand. And she was like, yeah, but you can't, because he's just got a natural like fluidity, and he can just the way his mind works, it's just firing on all cylinders, and he just has an insanely big vocabulary, and that's natural. That's not something you can teach, and you can get more of it, but you're not going to be Russell Brand. But what I see in you is like uh, this authenticity and this ability to translate like complexity into simplicity, so that most people are able to understand. And actually some of the best speakers in the world, like Obama, this is what she said, is a very simple speaker. So you don't have to go down that path. So um yeah, you have to find a way to make it work for you, but a good coach will tell you when, hey, like this might not be for you. um and I think we have to try. If we don't have a coach, we have to find a way to identify that in ourselves. Like, this is not the approach that I should be taking, and that's okay.
Yeah. I think the honesty there is is so important, right? It's
Yeah.
about what's doing practical. For those that this is right for, final question now. What does the different stages of growth look like? So if we break it down, maybe the first 10,000 followers,
Yeah.
does the strategy around that differ to maybe 10,000 to 100,000 and then 100,000 to 1 million? Are there different approaches? How would you approach each of those different stages?
Yes and no. So no, in that, just make good content, and you just have to keep making good content. Yes, in that when you start, it tends to be the slowest period. So most people stop there because their mindset's weak, uh, or they become very reactive, overly reactive. So something doesn't work, and then now they don't post for 4 days, and then they post stuff. They're twerking and talking about like how to lower your CPA or something. Yeah, you at the start, it's more about the mindset. Like you have to be really consistent and non-reactive and focused very much on getting good. That's it. Like if you get good, if you become skilled, you'll get the outcome. This is actually why I prefer video content to somewhere like your home, LinkedIn, where I think this is changing a bit with video and stuff like that. But before, to grow a following, you had to go to someone and go, "Ooh, like I love you. You're so smart, and I just want to kiss your bum." And you just had to like do lots of this and lots of networking. Whereas on TikTok or Instagram, you could just like post and then not even respond to the comments you're getting, and just so that for me was a much better situation. Um, yeah, but so in order to when you're starting out, the views are not going to come, and therefore you need to just focus on getting good. You don't have to respond to comments. You don't have to do like little hacks, like hashtags, or just make great content. Um, and that's hard, and it's like 12 different jobs in one, so it's going to take you time. And if you can embrace that, you'll get there faster. When I was in my 20s, I remember when I was like 23 or something, I was on no, maybe I was 24, and I was on 12K a year working at Uniqlo. And I was writing down like, okay, here's how I'm gonna make $1 million by the end of the year. What an idiot. And it was because of that stupid thinking that I never made good money until I was in my 30s. Because I was always in a rush, so I was never doing the things I needed to. It was always like some stupid like side hustle thing, rather than like, okay, how do I actually build a business that over time slowly is going to get me there? And if I'd done that, if I'd gone, how do I get $1 million in the next 10 years? It would have been like close to a guarantee, I think. So um, same thing here. We rush it. We try and get results now, and we don't actually want to get good. We just want to get the results. Where in the world is that? What's going to happen? You can't do that with a sport, for instance. And I like to think of sport, because we seem to think things are different with our mind, but they're not. Like it takes time to gain experience and get good, and you're not going to become a world class tennis player in 2 weeks or 2 months. Like it would be weird if you're like, "Fuck, it's 2 months and I'm not the best tennis player in the world." You'd be like, "Gary, like, calm down." Um, Same thing here. I think at the start is when I'm most aggressive with posting. I'm like really trying to get a lot of data because I'm clueless. Trying to get a lot of data, trying to really understand what people want to see from me. So that's when I would post the most. And I would really not focus on editing or videography. Like that stuff is the cherry on the top. And that cherry on the top really matters when you're getting a lot of views. If you're getting 2 million views and you're a really good editor, you can bump that up to 10 million or 20 million. But if you're getting 200 views and you have like a swoosh sound and stuff like that, you're going to get 200 views. So it's putting the time and attention on the right things, and then like getting stuff out fast. Um, that's what I'd be doing then. I would lean into formats and to strategies that are easier. So social hacking, trend jacking, green screens, things that are like easier to learn, that have huge impact. Reacts, another format, street interviews, things that like, even if you're quite bad, the format's very forgiving. Like even when I started, I could make a green screen video in 20 minutes. That's how I was able to do 3 in a day, an hour long. And then I have, or at the time, I had a lot of places that were on other platforms, LinkedIn, Reddit, stuff like that, where I would gather my ideas. So every day I'd go on, I had different things I was researching, different search terms, different creators, that I knew would give me good stuff. And then I would use that to then generate my ideas. So this is called pre-validated ideas. You don't know what you're doing, so see what's worked before. To clarify, I hate stealing, I hate theft. Like, do something that's your own. But like, let's say you see there's a video on, the worst year I've had in business. Cool. Talk about the worst year you've had in business. Don't talk about the worst year they've had in business. But I think that's completely fair game. So see what's already working. A really cool tip is like, don't, in the same way that if you're trying to build a business, don't like go to Netflix and go, okay, cool, their landing page looks like this, so I'll make mine like that. They've uh, spent billions developing their brand. Go to someone who's like started at 0 and grown to 1 million this year, and see what you can learn from them, because they're much closer to you, and so uh, they're gonna be teaching you things that you can't learn from the big people. So big accounts have a lot of momentum. They could post something kind of crap and still get views. So no, go to someone who was at 0 and has now, or like 200 followers, and is now at 40K 30 days later because of a number of posts and not one post, because that's just fluke. But even if it's just one post, now you can go, cool, that's a good idea. All the other stuff was not. I'm going to do something around that topic. Amazing. Now you have more accuracy. That's what I do at the start. As you go, I would be leaning into like trying to systemize things and make things more predictable. So really trying to understand which things are working and then how you repeat them over time so you can scale at a lower cost, and just posting more, and also so that you can remove you from as much of the picture as possible, if you want to. If you're a business owner, if you're a content creator and this is an art form, do what you want to do. But for me, I'm trying to turn it into a system that I can teach people, so I can be uh, more like a director than doing absolutely everything. That requires you to really think about what you're doing, and then how other people can do those same things. So that's where I'd focus. At some point, you're going to hit a plateau. It's inevitable. Meta has hit plateaus. Microsoft was the stock price was the same for 16 years, I think it was. Billion-dollar company. They've got endless resources, the smartest people in the world. Plateau. Same, yeah, as I was saying with Meta, like they if you look at how they've grown, they'd like hit a plateau of new users. They've sort of saturated the market. Not everyone wants to use Facebook and Instagram, and so then they would unlock new growth through like going to a new country or buying WhatsApp or whatever else it is. So uh, the same thing is going to happen here. It's inevitable. But when you're used to a certain lifestyle, it's kind of like getting rich and then being broke. It screws with people's minds. So your mindset has to be even stronger than when you're starting out, because now you're used to something and it's no longer coming. And one of two things usually happens. One, they just keep posting the same thing even though it's not working, and then they give up. Or they start being very erratic and posting lots of stuff without strategy, not learning from it, getting more and more desperate, and then giving up. What you need to do is see what's working in the marketplace. So, you go back into research phase. So when things are working, we maximize. When things are no longer working, we experiment. And it switches. So when don't know what I'm doing, 80% of my content is just experimentation. When I know what I'm doing, 80% of my content is maximization. As soon as it's no longer working, I return back to aggressive experimentation that's wildly different. I don't go like, oh, let me, I'm no longer doing the like, oh, add a timer, it's not working. I'm going to try something wildly different, super disruptive to get that growth back. And this requires you to be okay with potentially even less views, because uh, you need to experiment. You need to actually allow yourself to do that if you're going to break through that plateau. So just like wildly aggressive, wildly detached, and strategic focus on finding the new things that are going to work. Yeah, it's the same as any other like business. You have like uh, different ways that you're getting customers, and let's say like ad cost goes through the roof, you need to find something else. you need to test aggressively, and you need to find that as soon as you can. You don't want to get stuck like, you know, oh, your ad cost is double, but you're still doing it, and then it triples, and you're still doing it, and and then now you're massive amounts of debt. You have to move with the market, and it's all mindset. So at that point, really comes down to developing a stoic mind. Um, yeah. Maybe one thing I would also say is, I don't know if this fits in either bucket, but um, when you find stuff that works, if and you're more like artistic, creative like me, uh, you got to put that to one side. Just fucking post it. Just post it and post it and post it and post. Like if you look at all the biggest creators, Gary Vee, Alex Hormozy, all of these sorts of like business creators who are turning huge attention into revenue. It's basically they're repeating themselves
So
again and
don't
again.
fix what's not broken. Like if it works,
No,
you don't need to innovate.
no,
So
but I would always be like, like I want to try something new. Like people are bored of it. They'll tell me when they're bored of it, and unless a lot of people are saying they're bored at it, uh, you don't even have to listen. If one person's like, "You keep posting this," it doesn't matter. Like you'll know they're actually bored when people stop watching. If you look at like fitness magazines, every year it's like, oh, here's how to get the six pack abs, here's how to get the bicep. It's the same thing.
it doesn't change. Yeah.
It doesn't change because it doesn't need to change. So once you get a good message, just fucking rinse it. Like I wish if I went back in time and I had that mindset, I'd be at probably 3-4 million followers, and the business would be like 3 or 4 times the size. Um, Purely from that, doing nothing else but like because I am quite good at finding stuff that works, but then I don't do it all the time. So like that guy who stole from me, he's took two formats from me that work really well, that are really easy to do, and then posts two of them a day and nothing else. Whereas I would post one, and then 2.5 weeks later I'd post another to sort, I don't want the audience to.
This is the thing though, right? Like, do you remember what you posted last Thursday? You don't even remember it.
No.
Like, and you posted it.
Yeah.
We have this thing with our clients where like sometimes people are so afraid to say the same thing again. They're like, oh, but yeah, I said that like 3 months ago.
Mm,
I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
and it did well. It was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So why you should be doing it again?
Yeah. Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Mm.
Was there a moment on the 0 to 1 million journey that things really changed?
Changed in what way?
Business started taking off. You had the likes of your Instagrams, your Red Bulls kind of reaching out to you. Your life just took a turn.
Yeah, it was last year, early last year, say uh March, April time, maybe even January. Like January last year, I did like a 100K in 30 days
I
challenge.
remember, yeah, it was really cool to
Uh,
watch.
and like the month before, I think I did 20 or 30K. And I'm like from a very poor background. Like I've been homeless. My dad actually, when he moved to London as an illegal immigrant, slept in a telephone booth. Like, uh, yeah, it's like, and growing up, I slept in the sitting room couch because we didn't have enough space for me to like have a bed. So like, and it's not like, oh, like we were fine. Um, but yeah, money's always been an issue for me, and we have very bad, I'd call it like financial hygiene, or like, we never spoke about money. I'd go, "Hey dad, how much do you make?" He'd be like, "Oh, that's such a rude question. How could you ask that of someone?" I'm like, "Oh, what?" To me, it's very normal. So, um, but that month, I really I was very challenged and stretched, and it was public, so it's hyper stressful because I'm like, I don't think this is actually true, but in my mind at the time, I was like, "Oh, if I fail, then like no one will ever work with me again." Because I'm trying to sell that like, oh, if you get attention, you can build a business. Um, so they're never gonna work with me again. So I was like, I was working every hour of the day. I didn't gym. I think I was just eating takeaway. Like I really was working every hour of the day, and then going to bed and sitting and chatting with my partner and being like, I need to quit. I can't do this. And she'd have to be like, just that, like, just do it. Like, I can't say whether you'll hit the goal, but just keep going. It wasn't until, and I wasn't hitting the goal. I think I was at like, I mean, it's a while away. So like, you could go back and tell me what the number is, so don't like come and castrate me if I'm wrong. But I think like 20-30% of the goal by like by day 21 or something. So like way behind. But then I looked at what I was doing, and I was doing all the wrong stuff. And this is like a challenge like this really brings this to the forefront, and brings a mirror to yourself of like all the bullshit you do. Like business is is a mindset game in the same way content is. I was doing all the wrong stuff. I was just like, nice things, good things, but they weren't things that were ever going to move the needle. Like for instance, stories for me at the time, I needed to be posting 10 to 20 stories a day, and I would have hit my goal. And I just wasn't doing it because I didn't want to post stories, and I also didn't post any sales videos because I was like, I didn't like selling. I thought it was ugly. Um, and all of this stuff was, uh, it was making me face my money problems. And in that tiny space of time, I had to identify as someone who can make 100K in a month, the reason I was struggling and not doing those things was subconsciously I didn't identify with that. So I was doing actions that would make me 20 or 30K in a month. And I was well within that, but I wasn't doing the actions that would make me 100K. Um, so yeah, around day 22, 23, I sat myself down and was like, write down all the reasons why you think you don't deserve 100K. Write down why all the reasons why that's false. Write down what you need to do in order to hit the 100K, and and then do those things. And then between day 22 and 26, I got like 70, 80K.
Wow.
And even then, I'd say I did maybe 60 or 70% of what I needed to, because there was still some like belief changing that needed to happen. Um, yeah, so that was a very pivotal moment in my mindset, and being like, actually, yeah, I can make this amount of money is possible. Like it's really possible, and um, I don't think anyone deserves or doesn't deserve money. I'm kind of like a bit of, maybe this is a uh, contradiction of terms, but I'm a bit of a socialist. Kind of like, I think everyone should be able to live a comfortable life, but yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm someone who can make this amount. It's not like I'm like some street rat that has to like remain just struggling my whole life. So I would say that was the biggest moment, and then everything else happened downstream from that. And then another pivotal moment was I did a 300K in 30 days challenge. Um, I didn't actually hit it. I hit two 240.
It's not bad.
No, it's not bad, but when you do it publicly,
Yeah.
same thing. I was like, ah, fuck, no one's gonna work with me, and I, w- I, you know, you. I think one of the problems, or the things I really hate about this industry, a lot of industries, is like people just lie, and when things aren't going well, they're just hiding it.
Mm.
And there were a few days there where like things went really well at the start. I hit 70K in the first like 40 minutes or something. And then it just like slowed down because they were the like warmest buyers. And then I kind of just like stopped posting videos because I was like, I'll just post when things get better. And then behind the scenes, I'm just like suffering. And then I'd post stuff, but I'd like avoid talking about the money. And people like, tell us how much you've made. and and it was so stressful. And then I was like, let me just say where I'm at. So freeing. And
Yeah.
then all of the like, oh, no one's ever gonna work with me. They're like, bro, like it's good money.
I guess the mindset shift there is, yeah, they watched you like fail to hit 300K, but they also watched you make 240K in a month, which
Yeah,
is unbelievable, right?
yeah. But so I did this earlier in the month. I was like, hey, look, I'm way off.
Mm.
And then it's just you feel so much better.
Yeah.
And you're also being authentic. You're not like, oh, I'll teach you to make money. And then behind the scenes, you're like, oh, I'm struggling. So people were rooting for me, and like loads of very successful sales. This is another, intangible, is that anytime I've been like, oh, I'm struggling with this or that, people will help me for free. So right now I have a performance coach who helps like F1 drivers and like FTSE 100 company, like CEOs of FTSE 100 companies, uh, to like just become exceptional. He's helping me for free because I have a following and he thinks I can do some, cool stuff. So, but yeah, during this period, when I finally announced like, oh, I'm struggling and it's, I'm not selling enough or whatever, tons of really successful sales coaches were like, I'll help you for free. And people who did like landing pages were like, I'll help you for free. Or people who, like were colleagues in terms of, or like, uh, they were doing something similar with content and could see the forest for the trees, would be like, let me like take a look at your content and see if like I can help there. Or I was just getting help because I was being honest. And that's the side you don't see when you like just keep it to yourself and basically lie or hide the truth. So um, it's it's super useful, and you'd be surprised how many people actually want to help you when you show up as a real human, because so few people do. Um, and it's also, I think, why uh, I'd say across both those months, it's like, especially in the UK, it's an ugly thing. People don't want to talk about money. And they don't, if you're saying, "Oh, I'm going to try and do this," they're like, that's, you're ugly, you're a show off. And I thought I was going to get so much hate each time, and I just didn't.
Really?
I really didn't. I think maybe like, I'd say each time, like 4 or 5 comments across,
Across the whole month?
yeah, across the 2 months. So, um, it was just in the comments and then in the DMs, which was like so supportive, and people going, "Oh, I'm gonna try and hit 5K," or, "You've changed the way I see things." And um, yeah, that honesty, I think, is really useful. And also, I'd say like, you can be honest without being weak. I think people think it's either I lie and I'm pretending everything's good, or I'm like, "Oh God, the business." It doesn't have to be like that. It can be like, okay, so I'm not on target for where I need to be. Here are the things I'm going to be doing. And now people actually respect you because you're like, there's a certain stoicism to that. There's the honesty, so they know like, you're if you're telling the truth about this, you're probably not going to lie about other stuff. And then there's like strategic thinking. Like, it's natural. Businesses are going to have ups and downs. Every business. And only an idiot's like, "Oh, you're teaching people to grow on socials or make money and you're not doing it, you lose it." Like, businesses have up and downs. So um yeah, it's really freeing when you actually just go, here it is, from that place of strength. I really think you have business people that don't want to do it because they think it shows weakness. Doesn't have to show weakness, but you also, yeah, don't do the like whining thing. uh, it has to come from like, yeah, here's how we're gonna solve it, and I can take it on the chin. And one thing that helped with this was, uh, companies that are public, they have to share their numbers, even when they're shit. And sure, you can be like, "Oh, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that," and that you can focus on on certain numbers, but ultimately, like, you have to say how much you're making, what your profits and losses are, and how much you grew and stuff like that. And so, cool, I'll do the same. And I can still make money and I can still be okay. And I don't, just like, they're not like crying on the call, and the good ones are not making excuses. I can say these things as though I own a public stock and I'm just talking to my audience.
And hugely inspiring for a lot of your audience as well, who you're helping educate every day, which is amazing. I think the work you're doing is fantastic. So guys, if you're not already following Yasin, make sure you follow him. Instagram, probably the best place. Handle will be around here in the description. Be super easy to find, and do explore ways that you can work with Yasin, because having seen firsthand the work he's doing, it's amazing, and results speak for themselves. So Yasin, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Cheers,
It's
man.
been amazing having you. Hugely educational episode. I'm sure there'll be loads and loads of takeaways from that. I certainly, for one, will be implementing a lot of these things. So thank you. Really
Cheers.
appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you. And guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please do take 10 seconds to like it and leave a review. It literally takes 10 seconds, but helps us bring even more amazing guests like Yasin onto the podcast and really improves the amount of content we can provide.